Hi everyone, Rebecca McPhee here, accredited practicing dietitian and health coach. There are many different reasons why we may not be meeting our blood glucose targets, but one factor to consider is how we're treating our hypos and whether we're over-treating hypos. And a collection of studies found that 38 to 73% of people living with type 1 diabetes do not treat hypos correctly. And one individual study found that only 1 in 3 of the participants with type 1 diabetes correctly treated the hypo. Now, I'm sure if I asked the people in the study to write down the correct dosage of fast-acting carbohydrate, they would be 100% correct, because knowing what to do and actually doing it are two separate things. And there are many different reasons why we don't do what we should do. I mean, that's just about being human. But it could be because that there is a fear of hypos, and there's nothing worse than reliving those experiences that perhaps you've had in the past where you've had a severe hypo. Other people may find that they're just busy and they don't have access to the fast-acting carbohydrate that they know they should have. There, like I said, many different reasons, but this video is just to keep it in mind. And you may find from this video, you'll think, yep, what she said, I'm doing it right, my blood glucose levels are fine, not a problem for me. Others may find, you know what, yep, I know what to do here, but maybe I'm not consistent with treating hypos, and that may be the take-home message. Whereas others, you may find that, you know what, yep, I know exactly how to treat a hypo, but I'm not making it a priority, and maybe I need to go back to being a bit more accurate with how much fast-acting carbohydrate I give myself. Again, not a one-size-fits-all with type 1 diabetes. And maybe the reason why your blood glucose levels are not within target has nothing to do with hypos, but it's just one factor to keep in mind, because it seems so simple, but it's like peeling layers of an onion. There are so many reasons why people do not treat hypos correctly, and it's not as easy as one thinks. So let's go back to the basics, step by step. And we know that the first step is if our blood sugars are under 4, it's a hypo and we treat it. So 4 is the floor. Second thing we do is we treat it with only 15 grams of fast-acting carbohydrate. And this is where it can be a bit tricky, because if we look at liquids, for example, glucosate is only 100 grams. And I've seen this firsthand where people can really guzzle a lot. But then what happens, and this is where it puts your blood glucose levels out of whack, is we get a massive spike in our blood glucose levels, and it's almost like you're chasing your tail for the rest of the day and sometimes the day later, and it can cause fatigue and thirst and you just don't feel great. I know myself, I would drink too much of this, so I'm not very good with portion control unless I've got measurement cups or a small of glass. But some of you might find that that's fine, you can adhere to 100 mils. The other liquid is juice, and yes, it is a hypo treatment. It's only half a cup or 125 mils, but there can be a problem if you've got juice poppers that are more than 125 mils. It's hard to just keep to that amount. The other thing, I've seen this as well, while fruit juice may work for some people to get their blood glucose levels up, if you find that you've given yourself the right dosage and then you test your blood sugar levels 10 minutes later and they haven't come up, consider swapping the type of hypo treatment, because fruit juice technically is low GI because it's made from fructose, and fructose is a slow-acting carbohydrate. And I've had clients where they've found that they're putting on weight because they're having a lot of hypos. They're having far too much of the carbohydrate because it's low GI, so you're having twice as much. So swapping from the 125 mils of juice where you might have to have 2 rounds of it, so that's 30 grams of carb, you might just knock it on the head, the hypo on the head, with just 1 serving of fast-acting carbohydrate, and then you're above 4 after 10 minutes and you've only consumed 15 grams. So you can see that it's like being a detective with type 1 diabetes to work out maybe why your blood glucose levels are going up all the time, or you can't get good control, or maybe there's a weight issue. So they're the liquids. With the solids, really simple. You've got the glucose tablets and different brands, different amounts of carbs, but it's 4. Now, if you're having a hypo and a bit thirsty, chewing on these may not be so nice, but they're great for travel. I'm handling these because these are all mine. I'm not going to give it to anyone else. The other one is the good old-fashioned jelly beans, and there are so many different brands out there. So I went and had a little look, and the classic pharmacy ones have always been the same. So it's only 4 of the bigger jelly beans. So it's 4 grams per jelly bean. So 16 grams, you're almost on the 15. It's the same with the jelly babies. There are so many different types of glucose jellies out there. I had to look in the back of the pack because it was a different size to the ones in the pharmacy. So again, if we're changing the brand of glucose sweets or lollies, it's really important to make sure we're right on point. The same with these jelly beans. These are really small ones and it's an unknown brand. And I had to look at the back of the nutrition information panel and it was 8. For me, I couldn't use jelly beans for hypo treatments because I love aniseed and I would just eat too many of the black ones, and you can see there are none here. So for me, I'd have to go more for a glucotab, or even better, because you can be quite thirsty, like I said, when you're having a hypo and you want to get it into the system quickly. If you find that the juice or the Lucozade you're having too much, use the glucose gels. The glucose gels are fantastic. They're my number one choice because it's an accurate portion. It's liquid-based, so it's not going to be dry, and it's easy to transport. So if you haven't used the glucose gels before, you can buy them on the diabetes shop. You can get them in selected pharmacies, and really, really, really good idea. So we know that after we've treated the hypo with only 15 grams of carbohydrate, we wait 10 minutes, so check again after 10. So 4 is the floor. If you're under 4, fast-acting carb, 15 grams. Check again after 10 to 15 minutes. And if we are not above 4, we retreat with another exchange or 15 grams of the fast-acting carb. If you're above 4, then if you're due for your meal, then you can have your meal with making sure there's some low GI carb in there. But if we're not due for a meal, we can have 1 exchange or 15 grams of low GI, slow-acting carb. Again, we want to keep to that portion because if we don't, we're going to get a big spike and then chasing your tail for the rest of the day. And we're at more of a risk of having a hypo later on because if we're always hyper, we may be then giving ourselves far too much insulin and then we may drop again. So the slow-acting low GI carbs, I've just got a slice of low GI white bread here. It's easier to digest after a hypo. Or it could be 1 glass of milk, 15 grams. Or I've got a little bit of my granola. So it's just 1/4 of a cup there. That's about 8.5 grams of carbs with just a tablespoon of yogurt to get up to the 15 grams. So different things work for different people. But like I said before, it's something to consider if we're looking at getting better glycemic control.